MP Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that leave be given to bring a bill to make provision about requirements for carbon monoxide detectors, to make provision about carbon monoxide safety and for connected purposes. Mr. Speaker, carbon monoxide is a killer. In recent years, we've seen over 25 people killed each year by carbon monoxide-related incidents. Hundreds of people are hospitalised, 264 last year, and the figures I've seen say approximately 4,000 people go to A&E each year with symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning. Mr. Speaker, we have a problem. It's a serious problem. In fact, it's a fatal problem. And this shouldn't be the case in the 21st century because it's almost entirely preventable. We should make this silent killer history. Nearly 3 months ago, on the 14th of June, at least 80 people tragically lost their lives in the Grenfell Tower fire. I believe the first hearing of the public inquiry into the fire will be held tomorrow, with an interim report expected by Easter 2018. I'm sure there will be many opportunities in the future for members to contribute to the debate and the subsequent changes in legislation that will no doubt follow. But Grenfell serves as a reminder that we need to improve safety across the board for all residents, across both the private and public sector housing areas, and to design out these weaknesses. This is why I took this early opportunity to secure one of the 10-minute rule bill slots at the start of this Parliament, and carbon monoxide poisoning is predominantly a matter of housing safety. I have no doubt that the improvements to current legislation proposed by my motion will contribute to a reduction in the number of unnecessary deaths each year due to carbon monoxide poisoning, and the stories associated with these deaths are heartrending. For example, I've been contacted by Avril Samuel of the Katie Haynes Memorial Trust. On the 12th of December 2009, Avril's daughter Katie had the happiest day of her life when she married Richard Haynes at the Church of St Mary the Virgin in Gloucestershire. Katie had planned the day down to the minute, and everything went to plan. They honeymooned in Brazil and Argentina before returning to settle down for a happy married life. But Katie's life was tragically cut short just a few months later on the evening of the 18th of February 2010 when she died of carbon monoxide poisoning. Her husband Richard and her father-in-law Gordon were also poisoned, but thankfully they survived. The Katie Haynes Memorial Trust was founded by Katie's husband Richard and her family to promote awareness of the dangers of carbon monoxide and in time support other charities that would have been close to Katie's heart. I've also spoken to Project Shout, which was created following the death of Dominic Rogers, whose mother Stacey bravely tells the story of Dominic on the project's website. On a night like any other, Stacey kissed her 10-year-old son goodnight, told him she loved him and went to bed. The next morning, when she went into his bedroom, she found him cold and face down. Following an investigation, it was announced that he died from carbon monoxide poisoning and that the carbon monoxide had seeped through the brickwork from the neighbouring property, and Dominic would have been overcome by the poisonous fumes within 5 minutes. Even one of my own staff has shared a story of a friend of theirs who moved into a brand new home just a couple of years ago. Brand new boiler, up-to-date building standards, ticked all the building reg boxes. But there was a problem and no one spotted it because carbon monoxide is undetectable to human senses. A young mother and her child started to get headaches, feeling unwell, ended up in A&E. It turns out there was a fault with the boiler and they had had carbon monoxide poisoning too. Completely detectable and preventable if a carbon monoxide detector costing less than 15 quid had been installed. I firmly believe that not only should carbon monoxide detectors be mandatory in new build properties, but they should also be installed in all rented properties, including social housing and those in the private rented sector. We should be designing this problem out. However, we also need to ensure that people are fully aware of the risks associated with a gas you cannot see, smell or taste, because any fuel-burning appliance that is not properly maintained has the potential to be a source of carbon monoxide. This is why I'm proposing that fire authorities have an explicit duty to promote carbon monoxide safety. This isn't an additional strain on the public purse, but makes current best practice in many forces enshrined in law. The timing of the presentation of this motion is fortunate, given the fact that today sees the launch of Gas Safety Week. The promotional material for this event includes an assertion to check gas appliances for warning signs they are not working properly. These include a lazy yellow flame instead of a crisp blue one, black marks or stains around the appliance, and too much condensation in the room. The material also reminds people of the 6 signs of carbon monoxide poisoning: headaches, dizziness, breathlessness, nausea, collapse and loss of consciousness. You can see a short video of one of the survivors' accounts of her symptoms on the website for the Carbon Monoxide and Gas Safety Society. I'm very grateful to Stephanie Trotter, OBE, the President and Director of that organisation, for the help that she has given to me. In fact, I welcome all of the work done in promoting this 7th annual Gas Safety Week, and I hope that many members from all parties will promote the event enthusiastically across all media platforms. But it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge the work that has already been done recently to improve legislation relating to gas safety. Prior to 2015, there was no statutory requirement on private landlords to install either smoke detectors or carbon monoxide detector alarms in their properties. The government have addressed this following consultation via the smoke and carbon monoxide regulations, which came into force on the 1st of October 2015. These regulations require that smoke alarms are installed on every storey of a rented property and that carbon monoxide detectors be installed in any room housing a solid fuel combustion appliance. These changes are of course welcome, but they do not go far enough in helping to prevent unnecessary deaths from carbon monoxide poisoning. To mark the start of Carbon Monoxide Awareness Week in 2011, Professor Dame Sally Davis, Chief Medical Officer for England, said carbon monoxide is a silent killer which leads to many deaths every year. We can prevent all these avoidable tragedies by making sure gas and fuel appliances are properly installed and maintained, and fitting an audible carbon monoxide alarm that meets European standard EN 50291. 6 years later, this advice is still valid. Some devolved nations have already changed legislation to ensure that residents are protected from the presence of carbon monoxide. In Northern Ireland, carbon monoxide detectors are a mandatory requirement for all new homes built since the 31st of October 2012 after a change to the building regulations there. And in Scotland, since 2015, landlords have been required to install a carbon monoxide detector in every space containing a fixed combustion appliance. Mr. Speaker, we should embrace some of this best practice. Big international cities like New York have similar carbon monoxide laws. Now is the time to enshrine that protection in English law. I understand many prefer to leave such matters to individuals, for people to make choices for themselves rather than being compelled by action by an overbearing state. In general, I would wholeheartedly agree. But this isn't loads of new red tape or piles of regulation that will end up becoming an annoyance. It's 3 simple things that we can do as a society to prevent needless deaths and raise awareness. If we intend to ensure that the lives lost in Grenfell Tower serve to save others losing their lives in the future, then we need to carefully consider all options for keeping people safe in their homes, the place they have a right to feel most safe and secure. This should include protection from carbon monoxide. In a hung parliament, it is even more important that MPs work cross-party in order to get things done. I hope we can all unite in trying to stop deaths from this silent killer. Thousands visit A&E every year with symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning. Hundreds are hospitalised. Many die. Mr. Speaker, let's take this opportunity to do something about it. Yeah.